has tested you, my brother. Now let's see what God has to say. I've dealt with far darker shadows than you, exiled. I exiled an animal. Now you almost resemble a man, Garrowing. I offered the gift of exile, and you used it to reinvent yourself. I couldn't wish for a more potent instrument. It is woman's purpose to tempt and try the will of man. Welcome to the greatest of arenas, duelist. God is watching. You'd bite the master that called you here, which? This world is an illusion, exile. It is time you saw what real sacrifice is. Of God! Tested you, my brother. Now let's see what God has to say. I've dealt with far darker shadows than you, exiled. I exiled an animal. Now you almost resemble a man, Garrowing. I offered the gift of exile, and you used it to reinvent yourself. I couldn't wish for a more potent instrument. It is woman's purpose to tempt and try the will of man. Welcome to the greatest of arenas, duelist. God is watching. You'd bite the master that called you here, which? This world is an illusion, exile. It is time you saw what real sacrifice is.
What drives you, exile? Is it justice? Revenge? Honor? No. It is power. We felt your deeds. Felt their shockwaves ripple through the void. You have our attention. Now you must keep it. Your limits will be tested. The stars themselves will bear silent witness. How far will you bend before you break? is it justice? Revenge? Honor? No. It is power. You have our attention. Now you must keep it. Your limits will be tested. The stars themselves will bear silent witness. How far will you bend before you break?
Hey guys, Dante here, back with another little video, and in this one I want to showcase the build that I've been currently playing and how it works. So I'm gonna go really in depth into how this build works, so make sure you pay close attention to that, and that will surely help you try and make your life easier while trying to replicate this build or play something similar. Okay, so without further ado, this is a cast on crit Cyclone, Occultist, Forbidden Rite. So why have I chosen this? Like everybody knows Forbidden Rite is a bit overtuned for the current game. Like it's the most probably the heavy hitter spell that we have at the moment. And I was thinking to myself, I should play this. I should play Forbidden Rite before they nerf it next league, so I know what it was and what it is and stuff like that. So I said I want to go self-cast. I want to do I want to be a one-button Andy and just spin to win and let Cyclone trigger Forbidden Rite for me. So that's exactly what I did. And there are multiple iterations of this build I saw on PoE Ninja. Some going for more defense, some are going for more offense, some are going for a mixed. Mine is a combination of both. I value very much quality of life when I play a build, and I also do not like the idea of running a cast on death portal. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the build. Why Occultist? Well, we went Occultist because of the ascendancies that we have here. We basically have +1 power charge, AoE per power charge, damage per power charge, and since the changes to cast on crit, you can run a chest that does not have power charge on crit crafted on it, because you get enough power charges just by proccing Forbidden Rite, because it's gonna spend a lot of mana, and that is gonna help you generate power charges, so you can do something different on your chest piece like I have here, but we're gonna get into the gearing part at a later date. So in 3.15, with the changes to cast on crit now actually using mana for the skills that is triggering, you can see here that Forbidden Rite costs a total of 27 mana. Now we proc that 10 times a second, that is 270 mana consumed per second. That is a lot of mana, so we basically get power charges really fast, and combined with Assassin's Mark, when we hit a rare or unique enemy, and that rare or unique enemy dies, it will cap your power charges pretty quickly. Okay, so we're gonna take this Ascendancy and then we're gonna go for Void Beacon, which nearby enemies have minus 20 Chaos Res, and nearby enemies have 100% reduced life regeneration rate. It's just like a little bit of something, but what you really want is the minus 20 Chaos Res. And then we're gonna go for Withering Presence, 60% Chaos Res, which really doesn't matter because we're going Chaos Inoculation, which means your life is 1 and you're immune to Chaos damage. You get 15% more Chaos damage. Every second, inflict Withered on the nearby enemies for 15 seconds. Nearby Withered enemies deal 15% reduced damage over time. So basically, you inflict Withered stacks just by walking next to enemies. And then for the last Ascendancy, we have Malediction. You can apply additional Curse. That's all. And enemies you curse have Malediction. Enemies with Malediction deal 10% reduced damage and take 10% increased damage, which is a good survival bonus. But the main thing is the additional Curse. Now, that is why we chose this Ascendancy. Why we chose Chaos Inoculation. Maximum life becomes 1, you're immune to Chaos damage. We chose this because of the skill Forbidden Rite. Deals 5% of your maximum energy shield as base Chaos damage. Deals 12% of your maximum life as base Chaos damage. By going CI, we basically nullify, we lose damage by going CI because we don't get the additional 12% of your maximum life as extra chaos, as base chaos damage, I mean. But it's an immense quality of life because you're immune to chaos damage, so this basically nullifies the downside or how you have to play to counter Forbidden Rite. You don't need Insane Regen because you just don't take damage from it. Okay, so that's why we went Chaos Inoculation. Now, let's go into the gear and then we're gonna get into like the things. For the weapon, we are using a Karui Scepter. We are using this for multiple reasons. One is because of the Overlord node, which basically gives us Perma Fortify, which is amazing. And then you want high attack speed, you want crit multi, and then crit chance for your other suffix or whatever you get. It doesn't really matter. And then for the prefix, I chose to go with hits can be evaded, so I do not ever have to worry about accuracy, which is a thing you need to take into consideration when playing, for example, Cast on Crit, Ice Nova, or Frost Spear. So that is the thing that I got here. And for the, I choose a Synthesis one, which basically gives me more spell damage, increased spell damage implicit. How do you craft this? It's very simple. You buy the Karui Scepter, you spam essences of attack speed, and until you're happy with your suffixes, and then you do suffix cannot be changed, either scour it, or if you do suffix cannot be changed, and then Ashling until you get spell damage and stuff like that, or suffix cannot be changed and use a Veiled Chaos Orb and see what you get. And then you just craft hits can be evaded, so you don't ever have to worry about accuracy. For the gloves, I am using a Finger Seal glove, which has Hunter and Warlord, and I have the Elevated Warlord spell damage with a chance to unnerve for 4 seconds on hit from the Hunter. That is basically a 100% chance to unnerve because we hit 10 times a second. You get the idea, right? So basically 100% chance to unnerve. I got some res and then I multi-modded chance to avoid being stunned with some ES. And I complemented the helmet with this chance to avoid being stunned also, and combined with the jewels that I have. It makes me 100% stun immune. Okay, very important to be 100% stun immune. Chance to avoid being stunned. What is it? Stun avoidance, 100%. That's very important on Cyclone Cast on Crit. For the belt, I am using a crystal belt, and it is Crusader Influence. And how do you craft this belt? Basically, get the base, you slam a Crusader's Orb on it, and then you spam Dense Fossils on it until you get like the double T1 prefixes for ES and %ES. This is a huge damage increase. I take it off, it's literally 1000 ES. This is a huge damage increase. For the prefix, I got critical strike chance against shocked enemies. Then I did suffixes, prefixes cannot be changed. I reforged caster and I got this increased spell damage during any flask effect, which is good DPS boost. And I crafted Aspect of the Spider and then cooldown recovery rate. We're gonna get into cooldown recovery rate a bit later, but let's finish with the gear and then I'll explain exactly how Cast on Crit works. For this ring, I am using a Hunter Influence Moonstone ring, which has the implicit of maximum energy shield. I got the attributes that I needed, Dex and Strength, and the Despair on hit. And then I did Suffix Cannot Be Changed, Reforged Defense, I got lucky, I got the T2 energy shield, and then crafted non-channeling skills. For the boots, I have the elevated cooldown recovery rate and Tailwind. Now, why elevated cooldown recovery rate? Basically, we are going for the 10.1 attacks per second breakpoint. So at 10.1 attacks per second, you want to have a minimum of 52% cooldown recovery rate. How do you get this 52% cooldown recovery rate? Well, you get, what is it? You get 22% from Awakened Cast on Crit. You get 20 from this. This is already 42. And then you get the additional 12 from this, from the belt, from the benchcraft. If you do not go with the elevated cooldown recovery rate, you are gonna be short of 3% cooldown recovery rate. That 3% cooldown recovery rate can literally half on your damage. Instead of like 20 million, you're gonna do 10 million, or if you're gonna do 12 million, you're gonna do 6, because you need the right breakpoints. I'm gonna go into detail on that in just a second. Just let me finish with the gear. And for the other ring, we have Assassin's Mark, a bunch of res, non-channeling minus mana cost, and some lightning damage to spells and attacks, which really doesn't matter. For the amulet, I am using a double influence Crusader and Hunter, anointed with Tranquility, +1 all intelligence skill gems, damage per power charge because we have 8 in total. I got lucky and I got the spell damage prefix, T1 crit multi, and then some resists. The way you craft this is you awaken all intelligence gems plus damage per power charge, and then you work from there. If you got a good prefix, you do prefix cannot be changed, reforge crit, and hope for crit multi, or reforge fire core lightning if you want to target a resist. For the shield, I am using a double influence, again, Redeemer and Hunter, with +2 minimum frenzy charges, and socketed gems have 50% reduced reservation. I got lucky, I got a resist. T2 flat ES combined with crafted % ES. Pretty good. For the helmet, again, I'm using the 30% increase Forbidden Rite projectile speed. Why do I not use, let's say, additional projectile? Because it's proven that Forbidden Rite cannot hit with more than 5 projectiles a single target. Now in map clear, it doesn't really matter because you're gonna kill everything so fast you won't feel the difference. Now why did I choose for projectile speed is basically the travel time from when you actually proc Forbidden Rite to actually the projectile hitting the target is way faster, and in my personal experience this has proven to be a huge quality of life, and I think this is it's cheaper than the additional projectile, and it's more quality of life. But you can do whatever you want. You can get additional projectile or the increased projectile speed. It doesn't really matter. The damage is absolutely insane. Okay, so how do you crafted this one? I crafted the +1 power charge, awakened it with chaos damage to spells. I got lucky. I got like T5% yes. I mean, I don't know if you want to call it lucky, but it's something. And then I did the prefix cannot be changed, reforge chaos until I got the nearby enemies have -9 to chaos res. And I got lucky, I got some resist and crafted the chance to avoid being stunned. So that's the gear. Now, let me take you into how Cast on Crit actually works in the very, very important part that you need to know. Now, Cast on Crit basically has some things called breakpoints, where certain criteria need to be met. If you're not using any cooldown recovery rate, you basically want to have a maximum of 6 attacks per second. If you are using, if you're pushing that attack speed a bit further, and you need to have a minimum of 14% cooldown recovery rate, and then you can push your attacks to 7.57. If you go above 7.57, you are gonna lose damage. unless you have more cooldown recovery rate. If you're going above 7.57, then you're gonna want a 52% cooldown recovery rate, and then you can push your attacks to 10.1. Once you have the 10.1 attack speed, you do not want to go over it, just a little bit under, and then you'll be fine. If you go over it again, you will start to lose damage. I'm gonna show you that in the PoE section. So to get a optimum setup for cast on crit, you want to be hit capped. In our case, is hits can be evaded, which gives us chance to hit 100%. You want to be 100% crit capped. What does this mean? If you don't crit, you don't proc Forbidden Rite, you don't do damage, because our Cyclone is not doing a lot of damage. It's not doing enough damage to actually kill stuff optimally. So if you don't crit, you're going to lose damage. And depending on your attack speed, again, you want to have the appropriate cooldown recovery rate. I'm going to have the little table here. You can consult it and try to keep these things in mind, okay? Because if any of these things does not add up or do not work together in tandem, you're gonna lose damage and the build's gonna feel like crap. Okay, so hit cap, accuracy cap, cooldown recovery rate. Okay, good. So that's how cast on crit works. Now I'm gonna go over the flask a little bit. I'm using an overflowing chalice, which uses when charges reaches full. Basically, this gives other flasks charges. Cinder Swallow, Ball Faith, and Dying Sun. Dying Sun is probably the best in slot flask for this build because it gives more damage to your Forbidden Rite. Okay, so let's go into the skill tree here. Now we have a lot of circles, so let's go over this in order. On the left side, we have a Transcendent Flesh. Basically, this gives you a lot of crit multi with the implicit chance to avoid being stunned, so we can work on being stun immune. Over here, we have a Militant Fate by High Templar Dominus. This gives us the Keystone Inner Conviction. Inner Conviction gives us 3% more spell damage per power charge. Very important. Gain power charges instead of frenzy charges. This is why we have the +2 minimum frenzy charges, because there's no way for us to generate frenzy charges. Frenzy charges will automatically be converted into power charges because of this. Energy from within, we're using this. This gives us a bunch of ES, basically converts everything that has life here into ES again. And over here we have an intuitive leap just to save a few points here and there, because you know, we're starved for points. And yeah, let's get into the cluster jewels. For the left one here, I am using a increased chaos damage cluster with Dark Ideation, Unholy Grace, and Unwavering Evil. You only need Unwavering Evil and Unholy Grace, which gives you chaos damage, attack and cast speed, and chaos damage and chaos kills. And like the second line doesn't matter because you still get stunned because you're using Cyclone. And this, you don't really need this. And then for the mediums, I'm using again, effect of your curses with Evil Eye. You have Culling Strike against cursed enemies. Curse skills have 20% increased skill effect duration. And Evil Eye, enemies you curse take 5% increased damage. And over here, I'm using an Eye-to-Eye Shrieking Bolts, which is probably the best DPS increase cluster jewel for this one, but again, I'm going for a quality of life, which we'll get into it. And for the Watcher's Eye, I am using a 30% increased maximum total energy shield recovery rate per second while affected by Zealotry. This is not mandatory. The one that you want to look out for is energy shield gain for each enemy hit while affected by Discipline. This is a extremely defensive Watcher's Eye, and I highly recommend you get this because it's gonna make your survivability go through the roof. You're gonna feel so much safer, you're gonna regen so much ES, you won't die as much. So yeah, this is the best in slot Watcher's Eye. Get that with the Discipline and combine it with whatever suits your budget. Crit multi-wall precision or something like that. And on the right side, we have another large cluster with a passive, mace or scepters, attack damage, blah blah blah. What you want here is Overlord for the perma fortify and fuel the fight for the attack speed. and attack damage leeches mana, which really doesn't affect you that much. You're still gonna have a little bit of issues with mana if you don't have the minus channeling, non-channeling. And for the mediums, repeater, eye to eye, quick getaway, pressure points. I'm using quick getaway pressure points because I like quality of life. I like to be as close as possible to the crit cap without flasks, because since the flash changes, you don't really have them up all the time, so being as close as possible to crit cap with this makes the build fare a lot better. So it's definitely a quality of life choice. And I'm using a energy from Not with ES and attributes over here. This one is again a huge DPS defense increase from it. It literally gives you like 600 ES just from these 2 points. I highly think it's worth it. For the other jewels, I'm using crit multi for spells, percent ES, and attributes what I'm missing. Corrupted blood, crit multi, percent ES, spell damage while holding a shield. And yeah, crit multi, percent ES, chance to avoid being stunned in place or whatever you can, so you can be stun immune. So that is it for the tree and the jewels. Let's hop. What did I miss anything? Oh, the gems. In my main hand, I am using a multiple totem support with spell totem and wither. Basically, you spam this, and these are gonna inflict the target with wither stacks, which is gonna increase your damage received when we get in the PoB. In the gloves, I have cast 1 damage taken, anomalous shock nova with conductivity, and a anomalous ice golem, which gives us a lot more crit. Now, you may be asking, why shock nova? Well, anomalous shock nova, the quality is ring has 40% chance to shock. Well, you can see what I'm getting. Because we don't run scatterbots or anything, shocking an enemy is very valuable, because it's gonna give you a lot more damage. And ring shocks as inflicting 100% more damage, but you get 20% base shock and then 40% from the additional quality, so 60% chance to shock, which is amazing. I highly recommend using this combo. This is great. And conductivity is, I don't know if I should recommend it. It really doesn't matter. I just took it for the hits against cursed enemies have 25% chance to shock. So that's up to you. That's your decision if you want to run conductivity, but cast 1 damage taken and shock nova is highly recommended. This is a very good way to shock if you don't run scatterbots. In the boots, I am using another cast 1 damage taken Immortal Call with Righteous Fire and Portal, self-cast, not cast on death, very important. In the shield, I am using Discipline, Precision, and Zealotry. Again, in the shield, you want to put your big auras because they benefit from the reduced reservation. In the helmet, I am using Anomalous Withering Step, which is this one. This one gives us Elusive and also inflicts Wither while enemies enter in that aura. If you look here, enemies who enter in this aura, they automatically get Withered. Combined with Arcane Surge, Flame Dash, and Enhance, just for some, again, more quality of life. In my chest piece, I am using Forbidden Rite, Divergent Cyclone for the additional movement speed, so we can be a little bit zoomy. Awaken Cast on Crit. Again, you need Awaken Cast on Crit if you want to push for the 10.1 attacks per second breakpoint. Awaken Void Manipulation, increased critical strike support just so we can get close to that 100% crit cap, and Awaken added chaos damage. These are extremely cheap, so I highly recommend you get these. The only one that's gonna be expensive is probably Awaken Cast on Crit, but again, you really want it if you want to go for the 10.1 attacks per second. Okay, good. That's it for that. Let's hop into the PoB. Now, you see, crit chance 100% Cyclone, hit chance 100%, very important. We have 100% hit chance from the hits cannot be evaded, and we got the crit chance from basically everywhere. We got crit power charges, clusters, stuff like that. Okay, good. Now if we go to Forbidden, and you also see I have 10.15 attacks per second. This is still fine. If you go above this, like 10.2, you're losing damage. Do not go above this breakpoint, okay? Because if we go into the Forbidden Rite, you'll see that I have actually a 10 trigger rate. So basically I'm casting 10 Forbidden Rites a second, which is huge. Very, very huge. Now, you'll see crit chance is 100%. The combined DPS per one projectile is 9.4 million. If we do all primary projectiles, is 37.6 million. That is immense. That's what our flags up. And the configuration, you see that it's basically whatever. It's power charges. Obviously, we generate power charges from everywhere. Do you have frenzy charges? Yes, I have 2 frenzy charges and not more because we cannot generate frenzy charges. Onslaught, yes, from the flask. Tailwind, obviously, from the boots when we did electrical strike. And I ticked absolutely nothing here. And you'll see that the big damage comes from wither. Without wither stacks, you're about at 23 million. If you get 15 stacks of wither, you're at 37 million. So get those totems up, let them debuff the boss, and your damage will skyrocket. Is enemy shocked? Yes, for 15 from the anomalous shock nova. This build is very, like, you can tank Sirus beams sometimes, not all the time, but you can tank Sirus balls inside the little tunnel thing. You can tank his normal attacks. You can tank Maven's those balls that she throws when she says Cascade of Pain or something like that. You can tank her beams sometimes if you get lucky and block something. So this build is relatively tanky, so you will be able to proc anomalous shock nova quite often. And yeah, effect the shot 15, I put it right there. Unnerve, yes, from their gloves. Consecrated, yes, from the flask. Spiderweb stacks 3 from aspect of the spider, and basically there's nothing like I could cheese or something like that. This is all achievable. This is for real. You could get even more. You could push it to like 40-50 million, but you will lose a lot of quality of life. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I enjoy quality of life, and I will not trade it for brute damage. That implies me dying more, running out of mana more, and stuff like that. I like the build how it is, and I am not gonna jeopardize my quality of life for more damage. Okay, so jumping into the calculations real quick. What is it? Am I blind? There we go. All primary projectile I can see here in the calculations. We are a little bit. We are quite tanky, like 45 plus K, 45, 43, 53K on elemental plus the regen is absolutely insane. You regen so fast. It is actually nutty. Current shock 15. So yeah, 8 power charges, 2 frenzies, onslaught and tailwind, spiderweb, wither, conductivity, despair, and assassin's mark. Basically, they're all trigger on hit from the rings and stuff like that. So yeah, that is the build. Now, I want to go a bit into what you can improve and min-max further. You could change the chess piece, but as you can see here, I'm not doing really that great on overcapping my resistances. So if you get another chess piece, you could go elevated attack crit and not elevated elemental resistances and go for power charge on crit. And then you work your way somehow, maybe get it on the amulet or somewhere, to reduce the mana cost of Forbidden Rite as low as possible, and that will probably give you a bit more quality of life so you don't run out of mana on single target, because it has happened to me and I had to like replace my Quicksilver for a mana flask on some bosses. But that is a thing that you can do. I'm not gonna do it because I am done investing in this build. And yeah, what else can you improve? I mean, you could get an onslaught implicit ring, which basically gives you permanent onslaught, the synthesized ring, but then you're gonna have to get despair somewhere else. So you're gonna have to ditch the gloves. So it's a lot of work. You can min-max it in a lot of ways. You can get a better staff, better than implicit staff. Spells have a chance to deal double damage. But for my playstyle and what I'm doing, this build exceeded everything. Like, the mapping is absolutely fine. The bossing is amazing, like you saw in the videos. bosses are just getting deleted like instantly, almost like 1 second conquerors, which is pretty nutty if you ask me. And yeah, that's it for the build for now. I hope I talked about everything. If I didn't, I'll update the description below. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, if you guys think you're having any troubles, make sure to drop by the Twitch stream when I'm live, twitch.tv/Dante00151. I try to stream almost every day. Hop in there, ask your questions, let me know if you're playing the build, if you enjoy and stuff like that. Join our Discord, the link is going to be in the description. And yeah, consider subbing to the channel, I would really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment for the algorithm, and sub to the channel. It will make my day. Again, thank you guys, and until next time, stay safe.